So now about bootstrapping. Okay, I told you that today is not about Cassandra. It's really about coding. Okay, so those people who told me, yeah, it's too high level about Cassandra, I don't really do a real hands-on. Today is a hands-on. Okay, we will build a real app. Okay, so you need Git. Oh, okay, Git is optional. You can just download all the source using download as a zip from GitHub. Java, so JDK 11 is recommended. If you are still on JDK 8, too bad. It would work. Still, you need to edit the POM because latest version of the Maven compiler plugin added some new attributes for JDK 11, which are released. Okay, need to edit the POM and drop that. Maven and your Java ID, and of course, again, we do have Gitpod for you if you never use Java. All right, so again, we do have two streams, once on YouTube and once Twitch as kind of a backup. We are less, we're still looking at the Twitch chat, but not as many people as are the other streams. Discord for the questions, Gitpod and IDs, and as usual, everything is on GitHub, slide notebook, and all the source code. But that makes sense, right? Okay, so let's move forward. So as usual, we are showing a lot of stuff moving from one tab to another. So if you have multiple screens, that will help. If not, I would recommend this kind of settings on a screen, having me somewhere with the stream explaining stuff. I will do the exercise in front of you. Question if you want on Discord, your IDE and GitHub, because everything is on GitHub, and you would do some copy paste from GitHub, but not a lot. Today is coding, not copy pasting. Okay, so this link is very, very important. Maybe I should make a pause like 30 seconds here just to be sure that you do have the time to get the link and go to the GitHub repo and clone the repo on your local machine or access using a browser. Okay, so github.com/datastacks-academy. You find all the courses, all the workshops there. Machine learning, Kubernetes, core Cassandra, what do we do? Testing with NoSQL bench, OSS Fallout, better bots. Yeah, we do have a lot of workshops now ready to go. But this one, okay, David just post the link. I think we're good. Oh, maybe I'm in front of the line. Okay, you got it. Microservice-Java workshop online. Okay. So hands-on bootstrapping. So let me go to the to GitHub. Okay, so here I am. DataStax Academy, Microservice Workshop Online. All right. As you can see, we did a little trick to connect Discord to GitHub. So if you are not on our more than 3,000 happy folks on Discord, you can just join us here. And today we will create the ToDo app. Wow, nice, right? So if you are in the front end part of the developers or full stack, each time you try to develop your first web UI, ToDo app is kind of the to-do samples. Yeah, like for us backend developers, it's the pet store for Spring. Yeah, ToDo is the same for the web UI, for the sample you find everywhere. And we will use that, but we won't do the web UI. We will do the backend using Java. Okay. So table of content. So everything is on a single README. You don't have to to click on multiple files today. Everything is there. And there is a nice menu, as you can see. And if you complete one of the section, at the end of the section, there would be some kind of link to go back to the table of content if you want to. But today, you simply have to scroll all the content from the content tables. So bootstrapping. Okay, so I told you two options. I'm using Gitpod or I'm using my local environment. I think I will use my local environment just to ensure best latencies, and also avoid some copy paste and stuff like that. Locally, I'm most confident. But again, you can simply, even if you don't use Gitpod today, just give it a try. Click on open in GitHub. That's just amazing. You do have a full working Eclipse, and that will do a Maven clean install in the beginning, and this is what you should like. But okay, by default, autosave is not enabled in GitHub. So if you change a file and run the command and nothing happened, yeah, don't be surprised. You may have forget to save. Control plus S is the way to go. It happened to us many times this week, so you may find us in the same trap. Okay, so you will see that. So it's not doing Maven clean install exactly. It's doing Maven clean install -d maven.test.skip equal true. Why? Because we are developing with TDD approach, and because you have not coded anything yet. Tests are red. Okay, your job today is to make test green. All right. So option B, working with your local environment. Okay. All right. So you clone this repo and you access the repo. So I also provided some how to install Java. Okay, yeah, that's good to have everything in a single place. How to install Maven, and this is what you should, and how to install your ADE. Okay, but I will consider that you do have your own. I will consider that you do have your laptop more or less ready to do some Java code. And if not, you have a little time to make that happen, because the first is run the ToDo app. Okay. So give me a okay when you think you have imported your project in Eclipse and you are ready. Yeah, because we will start with the ToDo application. Okay, so full disclosure, the slides in the GitHub repo are not the latest version yet. Okay, I will commit that after that. It's always like that. We are finishing everything, a couple of hours before the workshop. All right. So let's see. How is Discord? Okay. And YouTube. All right. Okay, we do have 100 viewers. Okay, perfect. And you are probably downloading. Okay. Okay, so you are downloading. Okay, I do have some feedback telling me that Gitpod had enough time to start up, and also some other folks using laptop is also ready. Okay, don't browse the code yet. First, we can play a little bit. So I told you about the ToDo app. Okay, so let's look, following the README step by step, what we will do. And if you are confident about Java and Spring and Maven, I saw some hardcore. I expect that the README is autonomous enough. There is enough info there for you to do the full exercise on your own, just reading what you need to do. Okay, so all right. So ToDo MVC, okay, ToDoMVC.com is the go-to app when you are doing web UI, and there are multiple implementations. I can pick anything I like, let's say Vue.js, okay? And here I can start playing with the app. So I can create some task, okay, I can mark task as complete, I can delete a task, to do, okay, I can hide the completed task, I can clear the completed task. So up, it was only completed and or either only active or whole. Okay, there is a filter here. I can list everything, select everything, and remove everything. Okay, so this is implementation. It's all JavaScript. Okay, this is not what we want to do today. We want to create a backend for it. Okay, so second part is ToDo-backend. So there is something called ToDo-backend.com. I'm speaking French now. Okay, so where is my link? Okay, so ToDoBackend.com. No S. Okay, ToDoBackend.com. Okay, so this is the REST API needed for having a working To-Do app exactly the way I show you. Okay, and as you can see, there are tons and tons and tons of implementation available. Let's add our own. Will you? Okay. Let me go back to slides. Okay, To-Do backend. Here you do have the link. Don't know why the link disappeared in the README, but never mind. Okay, you are probably already on ToDoBackend.com playing, trying just to figure out what it is. Okay, so in ToDoBackend.com, you do have a client ready, client ready for you, and there is a spec runner. So you can provide an endpoint, and there is unit test, automated test suite that will be executed against your REST API, validating that your behavior is okay. And once you did the unit test, of course, you can use the client. Okay, so everything that we are doing, which is the REST API today, you don't have to worry about the web UI or the integration test. It's all provided in ToDoBackend.com. Pretty nice, isn't it? All right. Okay, so let's go to exercise. And maybe I should stay in the README just to follow the different steps. And you know what? I will just move Mentimeter to the other side. Okay. All right. Tons of people have already implemented the API. So you can pick any of these endpoints and try it. And as you can see, I do have blah, blah, blah ready to go. So we are about 100 watching and doing the exercise. So we are, 30 per endpoint working on that. So those apps are hosted in Heroku. And Heroku could take 30 seconds to start the app. It's on demand. But I'm pretty sure that now if I hit any endpoint, yeah, it's there because every single of you have tried it. Okay, so what I want you to do is run the spec runner, like that. This is a spec runner, and take one of the endpoint. So I will pick the second one. Okay, I copy and I paste and I run the test. So I executed the test suite against an endpoint available on internet. Just for you to realize that we need our REST API to be green like that. Okay. And here is the URL. This is what it should look like. Okay. We could also use now the client. Okay. I could use the same endpoint. So each time I put the endpoint here, and guess what? It will simply put the endpoint in the end. Super simple, right? So let's all create some nice task. Yeah, it's working. Maybe Alex. All right, I can remove. Okay, so I think you got it. Both the web UI and the run spec are there for you. But what about the backend now? Okay, so let's see. Expected output, start the backend. Now this is your time. Okay, so you go to the, let me, okay. I will put my, okay. Clear, let me make that bigger. Okay. Let me put that bigger. Okay. So where I am, I don't know why I keep having this old second folder, but anyway, so you do have the ToDo backend Cassandra. So let's go in there. Oh, by the way, you can first check that this is a multi-Maven project. So the first is ToDo backend Cassandra, but there will be follow-up in this workshop, and you might tell that we do have the same for multiple languages, and we also have the same for reactive. So today is basics, CRUD. Let's move. It's already something. It won't be that simple, don't worry. Okay, so I'm going into ToDo backend, and the first thing to do is start the app. So Maven, I can build, so Maven, now let's see, clean, Spring Boot, run. Okay, you do have the command somewhere on the README, and it will, compile everything and start. Okay. Okay, and you do have these logs telling you that it's now available on localhost 8080. So guess what? Let's go to localhost 8080. And look at that. We do have REST API already there. Okay, already providing some stuff. Okay, so as you can see, let's see what about the endpoints. Okay, you can list all the tasks, add a new, delete a new, or for dedicated tasks you can get the details, delete or update. Okay, and wow, that's nice. It's Swagger, so maybe I think most of you who already use Swagger used Swagger 2, providing by SpringFox. So maybe you also know that the Swagger has been given to the community, and now there is something called Open API, like Swagger 3-ish. And so I did not use the SpringFox to generate this documentation from the API. I've used SpringDoc. So I would recommend to check out because it's really well done. Okay, I want to use the latest version of Spring Boot and have the latest version of the specification to get the doc. Okay. All right. Okay, so same with Gitpod. If you run the same command, it's not localhost, but something like 8080- and the dynamic URL of your workspace. But we have told Gitpod to expose the 8080 port. So yeah, I should be fine. You should be in the same things as me. I'm using localhost and everything is on HTTP. If you are using Gitpod, everything is on HTTPS, and so the created URL should be there. And you know what? I'm using Swagger, but what about, so seems like to get the list, I'm hitting localhost 8080 API v1 ToDo / You can do the same, okay? And of course, you will hit and get the result, okay? And it's kind of 8OS-ish, meaning that it provides the URL of sub-resources. So if I click there, I get to the detail of a task, and I can go back. Working both for Gitpod and local, no problem about that. And you can play a little bit with these nice clients. Okay, and if you are doing REST API, I would recommend you to just implement the Spring Doc layer. It's so easy now to to get this UI generated for you. All right. Okay. You know what? I will try to find this guy. Okay. And I will do the same, but now I will open. I will go in my IDE and I will start the app. The way you start the app in an IDE, like that. Okay. So nothing changed. No worry about that. I'm just now in my IDE and I feel more comfortable in my IDE. All right. Okay, so you might tell, but we don't do anything, and yet I do have a backend API and it seems to answer, and you guess what? We will now execute the test runner again this endpoint and see if the API is okay. And we will also do the web UI and see if this endpoint is okay. So let me go to, let's see, local API documentation, local API spec runner. Okay, so as you can see, my endpoint is localhost 80, blah, blah, blah. I'm working locally. My first reaction when I saw that, oh, how does this guy is able to interact with something on my laptop? Backend reaction, it's JavaScript, so it's executed on your laptop on client side, and this is why localhost resolve and it works. So you do have the API and it's ready to go. So what the hell? Okay, I could also do the same with the client, and the client is there, and I can do some stuff and it's working as well. Okay, so guess what? On your laptop now, you do have a Spring Boot app with Spring Doc for the documentation layer. You do have Spring Web to expose endpoint. You can browse the code. It's quite clean, I would say. If you find dirty, I would accept any pull request, of course, happy to do that. And we do have an interface called To-Do List Repository. And no mystery, what I did is I provided an implementation of To-Do List Repository to work in memory. In RAM, okay? And if I go to my IDE, okay, let's close all this stuff, maybe there is too much. And I go to repository, you can see that on the top, I do have To-Do List Repository, okay? This is my interface. Find by ID, upsert, delete, find all, delete all. Okay, easy. And I do have an in-memory implementation. And guess what? This is simply a hash map, key value, and I work with the hash map. Okay, fair enough. And this is why you get task 1, 1, 2, 3 here, because I explicitly created those tasks, and I also explicitly defined a UID. Why? Because in the documentation now you can simply try out and this ID is working. Okay. Try to make things simple for you. Okay. So now what? Now we want, run the To-Do app. So I think, moving, but to-do, okay. Let's go back to GitHub. I'm simply following the steps, not reading, but I'm doing exactly what is listed there. I can tell because I write the document. All right. Okay. Never mind. Okay, so we started the backend API. This is what it looked like. We are happy. We navigated through the web UI like that, and I was able to test the backend. And now, if I'm on my laptop, I do the spec run, and if I'm GitHub, I do the spec run same, and I can use the UI and working both local and at Gitpod. And here you do have tasks to do. Don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel. I don't know if you noticed, but we are 2.75K. It would be not difficult to reach the 3K. Come on, if you like the content, please subscribe. It helps us. Or give a thumb up in the video. Or even in the chat. Okay, well done. So it was all about part number 2. Starting the backend wherever you like and test with ToDoApplications.com spec runner and client that the API is ready to go, but is working in memory. Let's do better. We want that API to connect to Cassandra. Okay? All right. Yeah, so we will change the to-do list repository to connect to Cassandra. But there is a little issue here. We don't have Cassandra yet, okay? And yeah, we got you covered, of course, with DataStax Astra, Cassandra as a service in the cloud. Again, don't have to install anything. If you run one of our previous workshops, you probably already have an instance. If you don't, we will create an instance altogether. If you have an existing instance, you can reuse it, of course, easy. So what is Astra? Astra is a service offered in the cloud, okay, software as a service, providing Cassandra and a DataStax Studio. It's a notebook-oriented tool, and SQL console, the SQL, and also some dashboarding around Cassandra, just for you as a developer only to interact with Cassandra and don't have to be concerned about monitoring and all the administration operation. Okay, in there you can do SQL with SQL console. There is a studio. We will go into the studio in a minute, and we can use the drivers. And today we use Java drivers. Full disclosure: next week, same time, we are using Python and Node.js drivers also to create API on top of Cassandra. But it's not the same use case, okay? We like variety, just for you don't to be too bored, doing the same app again each week. It will be something about events, streaming, stuff like that. Okay, teasing. Okay, so now I would like you to create the Astra instance. Okay, so how to do it? Okay, read the README. Okay, well done. Create the Astra instance. So we need to go to astra.datastax.com or astra.datastax.com/register if you don't have an account. So let's go. Oh, but I do have an account. I will remove the register. Okay. So you can sign in using email, of course, but also GitHub account or Google account. I feel it pretty neat, pretty easy to go. And you sign in. Nice. Okay, so next, I do have already my database created. You can change it. I could terminate it and recreate it, but yeah, it's already there. So if you don't have any database in Astra yet, this is the screen you do have. You will provide some parameters. Please use free tier, okay? It's a real free tier, free forever. You create a database, it will stick there. It's a small size database, single node, but hey, you can use it anytime, anywhere. As I told you, if you already created an instance named Killer Video, totally fine, we will reuse that. If you don't, you can use Dev Workshop Database as the database name, which is pretty relevant because each time we go back here to not having to install Cassandra. We can also provide Docker image and Docker Compose if you like, but then you need a laptop a bit more powerful to run the 3 nodes, and yeah, it's easier for a hands-on to have everybody using software as a service in the cloud. Okay, select the region. So select the region the closest to you to reduce latencies. I'm based in Paris, and so I'm using the Europe West, but folks based in the US, the time zone fit more the USA, I think. So pick one of the US, US East, US West. I don't know which one are available today. Yes, so Java version is dependency as in POM not resolving released only if you are using GDK 8. Yes, you're right. Yeah, because until before GDK 9, you were only one attribute. It was target, I think. Target, and you can say target 1.8. And when we switch to 11, there is now target release, and it's not 1.11, but it's 11. All right. Okay, so keep doing that. Fill the key space name ToDo app, but again, you can use whatever you like. ToDo user and ToDo password. Please remember this username and password. You can pick whatever you like, but you will need it in the next exercise. So, copy paste is not that bad for this one, okay? And when you have filled everything, this launch database button is blue, and you can go and click launch database, and you get a pop-up launching your database. And next you will see this screen for a couple of minutes, depending on how many people trying to create the instance at the same time. It can take 2, 3, up to 10 minutes, but I don't think so. And when it's done, this is what it looks like. You don't have the green panel anymore. It's just telling you that your Astra instance is ready to go. Okay. All right. I will maybe make a pause to have everybody starting creating the database. But for folks who already have created the database, you can go on with the exercise. I think it's detailed enough for you to succeed. The more Java you can do, the better, I guess. Okay, go. All right. So now it's about opening DataStax Studio. Okay, so I'm going to Astra, I'm going to my instance, okay, and I will open DataStax Studio, Developer Studio, okay. So locate Developer Studio, launch now. I did a nice screenshot for you, and you will launch now. The first time you are launching the studio, it will ask you login password. Yes, it's another service running in the same platform, so you need to provide again ToDo user, ToDo password if you use the parameter defined in the README, but simply reuse the one you entered previously. And so, let me move my little, okay. So this is my GitHub, materials I have downloaded, I have cloned, okay. In Z materials, I do, okay, tons of image. This is how many screenshots I did for you today, okay. Okay, but in the notebooks, you do have something you can simply drag and drop, okay, and let's do it. It will create a new one, okay, no big deal. All right, so now I have 2, and it will open the notebook like that, okay. But for now, there is maybe nothing to show, okay. If you describe key space to do, you know what, I will, just to be sure, I will, you don't have to, but I will drop table, it's live, I will drop table if exist, and I will drop my ToDo app, no, key space is, what is the name again, ToDo underscore task, chuk, 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 chuk. Okay, and now if I describe the key space, yeah, nothing in there, okay. I've created an Astra instance, Cassandra single node, okay, and I do have a key space named ToDo app and nothing in there. I can simply say that I do have a single node and replication factor is 1, okay. Don't execute the insert into, because guess what, the table is not there. We need to define which table we need, and we also need to connect our Java to this guy, okay. So what is said in the README, okay, I have imported, okay, and now I do have stuff, and I execute a command in front of you, just to give you time to do so, okay. Now connectivity to Astra, okay, now is the big time. We will connect the backend API you are running to this Astra guy. And to do so, you need a zip file. Okay, so to download the zip file, you will go to Download Secure Connection Bundle. So here it is in the middle of your screen. So refresh the page before, just to be sure, because as it's written, when you download that stuff, the link to download is available for 5 minutes. So let's say you were doing stuff in DataStax Studio, go back and click download. Yeah, you won't have the file, so be sure. And now you click on download and you get the zip. And I will put that in downloads. And as you can see, the name is secure-connect- the name of the instance of the database. Okay, so this is so I think it's a readme. I put something like dev-workshop-db.zip, and this is the reason why it's already like that. But I can play and save my new file. Now I do have two files in my downloads side by side. Oh, how cute. Okay, go back here. Now this file you just downloaded locally, you need to put it in Gitpod, okay? Because we was not able, of course, to have this zip available for you. You needed to create the instance first. So to do so, you go to File, Upload File menu. But this menu will appear only if you select one folder. So I would recommend you to select the root folder, microservice-java-workshop online here, and then do File, Upload File, and you will get this file available just at the bottom of the files, files tree. And if you do ls in the terminal, you will see that the file is available for you in /workspace, microservice Java workshop online, name of the repo, okay, and name of the zip, okay. Same if you downloaded this file somewhere, please make sure to have the path, pwd or anything working with Windows, if there is a command to know which part we are in Windows, just to have the full path for your file, okay? And if you are using Windows, maybe you have to use / because it's anti/. I didn't try that, but be careful in the path. It needs to be a valid path, and it's Windows, it's anti/, and in Java, anti/ are escaped, so you would have probably to double the anti/. I didn't try myself, but I feel that that would be required. Okay, so now my zip is on my local folder, and I can try to edit the first JUnit, which is connectivity to Astra. Okay, so it's written, friendly for people running on Gitpod, because I didn't find any right-click run as JUnit, but IntelliJ, Eclipse, of course, easy to do. So I will use mostly Eclipse, but if you are using Gitpod, you can just Maven test and do the same. Okay, so let's do 4C, fix the JUnit connectivity to Astra explicit. Eclipse, okay. I go to src test Java, okay, and it's the first file. Man, the guy who did the workshop did a good job. They are in the proper order. The guy was kind of imaginative in the name, I guess. All right, so you need to provide the path of the zip, okay? So I guess this one is okay. Okay, no big deal, it's the correct path. The file exists, okay? Username, ToDo user, password, ToDo password, key space, ToDo app, and this is where you can put killer video key space, user kv user, and password kv password. All right. Okay, so should connect to Astra, okay? So first we are testing that the file you provided exists. Now that's a nice thing to do. And then to initiate a connection to Cassandra, we are using an object called CQL session. Okay, and to connect to local Cassandra, we would use an IP of one of the node called the contact point. But here we are working with cloud, and we simply have to define the path of the secure connect bundle and username, password, and the key space. And I've provided everything like constant just before. And if everything's okay, I should have connection established to Astra with key space. Okay, let me shut down my running backend. I don't need that right now. And I will run as JUnit test. Okay. Green bar, not bad. Seems like the JUnit is working. All right. So I'm connected and I do have this nice log message, connect established to Astra with key space ToDo app. So if you are a hardcore Java, regular Spring Boot user and everything, pay attention. I am using JUnit 5, okay? There is some tricks in the POM to make that work. You need to provide, you need to exclude the JUnit vintage because it's not JUnit 4, but JUnit 5. So there is a working sample. This is simply the comment I would like to do about that. Nothing related to Cassandra, but that's a nice JUnit to execute. But it's not a Spring Boot JUnit because I don't need to run the full app to execute my integration test. It's still an integration test because I'm connected to Astra, but it's not a Spring Boot test. But let's see a bit later, we will do Spring Boot stuff. Okay, so I did my first exercise, okay? And now I did 4C and I can go to 4D and execute the same now, connectivity to Astra with conf test, okay? So I will close this guy, go to the next one, okay? And now, instead of providing explicitly each parameter when I initialize the session, I will use a config loader, something called driver config loader. And I simply said, please use application underscore test.conf. So if you go to src test resource, you should have the same file as me because I just committed it before the workshop, okay? So sorry about that, there is my name in the path. You need to change that to match the path of your secure cloud bundle file, and also username, password, and key space. Okay, those are the four parameters to change. And the idea is here, instead of injecting everything as constant, there is a dedicated file, conf file. And now the only thing you have to change is the conf file. Okay, if tomorrow you want to move from cloud to local, you go to this file, you only change this file. It will still working. Okay, so secure connect, okay, it's a proper URL, ToDo user, ToDo password, ToDo app. I think I'm good. So now, well, I would get a file not found exception with here if the file was not existing, so I didn't use any assertion anymore. Also, it's not assert, it's assertion dot. Don't know if you get it. JUnit 5, I changed that as well. All right, okay, and it's also, you can also have a display name. Anyway, it's not a JUnit 5 stuff, but nice to work a bit with that. And now I can execute this guy. Run as unit, and cross finger, I should be connected to Astra again. Okay, seems is happy with that. Okay. So as you can see, first JUnit to connect, providing all the settings. Second is JUnit to connect, but using a configuration file. Okay. And now, starting now, we will use the configuration file. Okay. I keep sliding in the wrong order. I don't know which one is sliding left or right for Tinder, but I'm doing the wrong one. All right. So now, okay, we did 4D. Okay, and well done. We are very happy with like connectivity to Cassandra, because now indeed our app can connect to Cassandra. We still have to change the repo because it's still in memory, but at least we do have the conf file and some code working connected to Cassandra. Okay, good point. So let's back a little bit to slide. Okay, sorry, it's about an hour. Let's go back to a bit of slide mode. Not a lot, okay, but still, okay. So to connect to Cassandra, DataStax provide a set of drivers available of a lot of languages. Today we are working with the Java one. The Java one has something special. It used to be two sets of drivers. Drivers for open source Cassandra, drivers for DSC, so DataStax Enterprise distribution of Cassandra with extra features like Spark embedded, Spark search, and also the graph database embedded. So now there is only a single set of drivers, the DataStax Java drivers, providing tons of features like connectivity, of course, connectivity for a driver, oof. But also, you know, there is retry policy, reconnection policy, load balancing. So the driver is very clever. You know, your data is probably replicated on multiple nodes. This is how Cassandra works. And the drivers is token aware. At the driver level, we know which data is on which node. And that means the driver can do load balancing among the node holding the data you need. You know? And if one node goes down, the drivers detect it because it's doing else check under the hood and won't invoke this node anymore. Okay? Very clever, a lot of load balancing. Okay, it's doing the query. Yeah, I can use the driver to execute queries against my database. Wow, what a surprise. So we can create some tables, exactly what we will do in the next exercise. You can do synchronous, asynchronous, and reactive calls. So I had the reactive part, and you see the folder reactive just before, but you know what? You know, I take the time, and in 2 hours, there is no time to do so. So there is a query builder to help you building the queries. There is paging, and also, of course, you can use Spring, and you can map from objects to tables. You know, object mapper are there to you know, ease the use of Java POJO with tables. Okay. It's not relational mapping because there is nothing relational in Cassandra, but it's still object mapping. Why I told you that? Because most of us know ORM acronym, the object relational mapping. There is no R because there is no relation, no join in Cassandra. And if you want to know why, please attend one of the previous workshops, all about data modeling. Okay, so how to connect? I told you, and we see in the code, that you would provide one contact point. Only one is necessary. 2 are better because if the first call failed, the driver will load balance to the second one just to initiate the connection. But you know what? If the first call is successful, then now at the driver level, we know all the topology of the cluster. And then we can start load balancing among all the nodes. And you know, even if the contact pause is down after a few minutes, it's not a big deal for at the client side because this guy has everything he needs to do the failover for you. Okay, that's Cassandra on-premise close to you. But hey, we are using a cloud service. Okay, so how does it work? Well, you know what? It's work the same. There is simply a trick. You are connected to a cloud service, so it needs to be HTTP, okay? And it needs to be really secure. So it's a two-way encrypted connection using strong authentication, you know, certificates. And this is why you're downloading a zip. Inside the zip, there is the certificate required to open the two-way TLS connection between you and Astra. And then there is a load balancer on the Astra side and some proxies to route your request to the proper node. And using a protocol named SNI for service name indication, the client can say, I want to send my data to this node, with the SNI. And then the load balancer knows what's happening and route the instruction to the proper node. It could be read request, write request, or read request, write request, anything like else check. And look at that. We are opening a two-way TLS connection. And this is the reason why when you execute the unit test to connect to Astra, it took a few seconds, not milliseconds, but seconds. On my laptop, it's about 2 seconds. And the reason is, you need to really, uncheck SSL in 2 ways, validate the certificate and everything. So took a little bit to open the connection, but once the connection is open, keep alive. It's the pipe is there. You can start sending the request very, very fast. All right. Open a session. We did that in the exercise before. So I can go fast, but you can either use explicit parameter or delegate everything in a file. We did that. And what is this file? Application.conf. It's a default name. As you can see, using a driver loader config, you can use any file you like. We are, I think it's released now. We do have Spring Boot starter, so these keys can also be put in application.yaml. Or very soon, it will be released very soon. Instead of .conf, keep in everything in application YAML like we love to do. Okay. Nothing more to say about it. I had a couple of slides about load balancing and everything, but as we don't change that today, let's move forward. Important to know about SQL session. SQL session is a stateful object. I told you the driver is clever and keep open TCP connection between you and any single node. That's a lot of TCP connection. And so if you're working on Cassandra, of course, if you're working with Cassandra, there is a TLS. But then it's doing else check and else check, okay? So when you shut down your app, please do securesession.close because you don't want to keep the TCP socket open. You want to be clean, and so you need to close a SQL session. Okay, how to close it? In the Java world, you are using what we call a shutdown hook. And I know at least 2 ways to do it. You can go to my classes, .get runtime, .get shutdown hook, and then you implement a lambda. Or you can use the Spring pre-destroy annotation, and on the cleanup, you will simply close the session. Okay, I think this is what we are doing with the unit test. Unit test with Spring, but unit test maybe I use a try closable. I will show you that. But starting from Java 7, hardcore knows that try close. So the SQL session is auto closable. All right, let's move forward. Connectivity to Cassandra. Yeah, I did the exercise before the slide. Maybe it's better now. It's seeing what's happening and then get the theory. Okay, how REST requests are handled in multi-node cluster in Cassandra. So it's using SNI for sure. So it will contact the load balancer with multiple nodes. There is an alias, of course, it's not a SPOF. And then using SNI tips, it will be routed to the proper Cassandra node. Yeah, if you want more deep dive, I think there is a driver guys hidden somewhere, either on YouTube chat or on Discord, and I can ask those guys. Okay, now let's do the real fun stuff and do CRUD repositories. And you know what? We are moving fast, or maybe I am moving fast. Okay, so we want to create a repository, okay? Create, read, update, and install. Guess what? We need a table to do that. And as far as it is now, there is no table in the key space. Okay, I did describe tables, nothing there. So how to define the proper data model with Cassandra? Let's do it with I don't do the theory today. It's practice, practice, practice. So let's apply the methodology to our sample. In Cassandra, you start with the app, what you need to do, and then you will work on the model, and finally the data. In the relational world, it's not the same. You start with data, entities and relationships, and then try to go to the normal form, like third normal form, and you ask the app, find your request, use the NC SQL, do some joins, whatever you like. My data is there, I don't touch it. Cassandra is not working the same at all. If you try to think like relational world in Cassandra, you fail, okay? In Cassandra, there is no joins, and so if you need many-to-many relationship between entities, you will have to duplicate the data, okay? I won't go too much in the theory. We did previous workshops explaining that into the details. Let's focus to our use case. So, my app. Yeah, so of course, my app is ToDo app, okay? So let's apply the methodology. There is a process described on academy.dadasta.com, courses DS220. It's a free courses, MOOC, free courses. This is the courses you need to take to pass the Cassandra certification, because, yeah, sorry, with only the hands-on workshop, it's not enough. But, stay with us until the end. I do have a nice surprise for you in the last slide. Yeah, seriously. All right. And if you're watching the live after the stream, you can go there and go back. I'm waiting for you. No, just kidding. Okay, to run the process, you need first entities and relationship. This one is unchanged from relational world. But you also need your queries, because you will create one table per queries, basically. Okay, if it's not 100% CRUD, you will need one query per table. All right. Okay, then pause your brain. It's all about applying rules and rules and rules to go to the physical data model. So let's apply that for today. Entities. Okay, so if I look at my UI, I think that I need an entity called task, okay, with a title, yeah, completed flag, true, false, and order. In some JavaScript web UI, you can move and change the order of the task. It's not the case in the UI provided by ToDo backend, but I told you we need an order because it's part of the spec of the REST API. Okay, so we need an order. Okay, that's my entity. What about my queries now? Okay, first I need to list all the tasks. When I show up, get all the tasks, find all. Okay, then I need to create a new task providing the title and the status, true, false, and the UI seems like by default it's false. If you created a to-do, it's not done yet, it's still to do. So yeah, create a new task, and you can go back to the web client and test it. If you double click on an existing task, you can edit. So you can edit the title. You can either edit the title, either the status, true, false. So of course we need some update. We can delete. It's not only marked as complete. You can simply go to the right part of the task and delete the task. And not part of the UI, but again, I told you, because it's in the specification, you need the delete all. There is a REST resources to delete all. Okay, we do have the queries, we do have the entities. What the tables or tables look like? Okay. Title, completed, offset, it's not enough to ensure unicity. A primary key needs to ensure unicity. The full primary key needs to ensure unicity of the record. Okay, so I've created a UID and so unique identifier, and there is no real advantage to use a partition. I mean, if I would have a family or a tag for the to-do, maybe I could have to-do task by category, to-do task by by day or something like that, and have a partition key named if it's to do by family, I would have family as a partition key. Here, there is no need about that. No, it's a full plain list, nothing special. So UID is totally fine to be the partition key. UID is a full primary key, no clustering colon. Simple UID. So you will get a unique record per partition. Totally fine with Cassandra. It will be evenly distributing with the hashing function, as usual. Title completed offset, not part of the primary key. I don't need anything special about it. Yeah, I would probably order the result based on the offset. This is why order/offset here. I didn't use order because order is a keyword of the language. So avoid to use the keyword of the language as much as you can. There is no real reason to use order. Simply use offset. Okay, and so this is simply my table, my logical data model for the table. If I move that into SQL, I will first define the type, scalar type. UID is a UID, title is a text, completed is a boolean, and offset is an integer. And I can move to the SQL, Cassandra query language statement to create a table. Okay, create table if not exist. UID, title, completed, offset. You got it. And the primary key, UID. Remember, I use double set of bracket just to told you I know what I'm doing, and I know that the UID is the primary key, but also the partition key. Okay, enough with data modeling. And if you already take the courses before, I think that's a good sample to go through and say, oh, so this is how you actually do the methodology. It's a simple one, okay, but it's always the same methodology. Okay, so we do have the table, or we will have the table very soon by executing a new unit test. But now it's a CRUD repository. So we want to do the operation create, read, update, delete on the tables. So, and to do that, we will use the SQL session we've just created and execute some queries. Yes, it is. Okay, so each string is under the hood marshaled as the statement, okay? And so first, so baby step, if you are doing that, yeah, you're very totally new with Cassandra and maybe even with databases. What about SQL injection with this code? Okay, so first step is to do explicitly a simple statement. You know what we are doing. We are creating an object called simple statement. And in the statement, there are metadata, paging size, timeout, consistency level. All the metadata of the query will be part of the simple statement to improve the performance, okay? So I can do new instance and still provide the full query, and not bad. First baby step to improve, externalize the value using question mark and use either positional value because it's question mark or a label, semicolon label, and I will add name view and I will execute my statement. Okay, so in the next exercise, you will first create a table, and then you have to implement a simple statement. Okay, but simple statement is not the best because each time you execute a simple statement, Cassandra needs to validate the syntax of the query, validating that the table is okay, validating that the colon exists, that the colon have the proper type, that the type the parameter you provided match the type, and so forth and so on. And to improve the speed of your queries, you will prepare your statement, okay? So we'll take your simple statement, or here, the string, and you will, at the beginning of your app, at the load of your app, prepare the statement. You will get an object called a prepare statement, okay? And now each time you want to invoke this query, you will bind the parameter and execute the bound statement. No validation anymore of the syntax of the grammar of your query, much faster. So if you don't do that in your Cassandra app, it's a good start to improve it, the performance. All right. Okay. So we execute the query. Okay, create, read, update, delete, and now we get a result set. So the result is part of the result set, same as the relational JDBC world. So two parts in the result set. First is metadata, what I call the plumbery, okay? Execution info, query trace, how much time did the query last, if you're using LWT, lightweight transaction, was it applied, no, yes, okay. Everything related to metadata of the query, and the data themselves. And as you can see, the result set does not contain a list of results. It's not a list of record, it's an iterable of record, okay, an iterable of row. And the reason is, when you execute a query, all queries are paged. Okay, Cassandra is there to store billions and billions and billions of records in a single table. This is for big data. And so you don't want to do select star from a table in Cassandra. So first you will get huge number of results, and also it will take some time because you will need to do a full scan of your cluster, multiple node, to get all the results. And then imagine that all this information come back to the node, the coordinator node executing the query. Best case scenario, the coordinator node has more memory than you, so coordinator node is okay. Give you all that info and then you do out of memory. Worst case scenario, coordinator node is out of memory. So this is now how it works. You provide a page size, and default page size is 5,000. And so when you execute the query, you get only the first page. You get an iterator of the record, and you get only the first page has been fetched. And this is why we call get available without fetching. Let's pretend you do have a page of 5,000 and you get item first call 300. You know that you got everything in the single fetch, totally fine. But now, if in the table there is more than 5k, well, this is when you will iterate on the iterator, and when you will reach one of the latest item of the iterator, when the iterator will be exhausted, the driver will do fetching of the next page under the hood for you. Okay, it's done for you. Okay. All right. So in the result set, you can do .all. So please don't do that immediately without thinking, because .all will exhaust the iterator and do all the fetch for all the pages. And so if you do, again, select star from a table, you can still blow on your app, but now it's not the coordinator node. Coordinator is happy and doing page after page because a driver will ask page per page, but maybe you get here billions of record and you blow up your memory. Okay, it's possible. Okay. Iterator, and you can of course use lambda, and was applied. Okay, it's just metadata of the query. Okay, moving forward. Passing the row. Okay, you get the row, one record. In the record, you can, same as JDBC, get column by column name, column type, or using CQL identifier, which is a small trick to escape all the not valid characters in the string for column name, for key space name. That guy will encode the characters in what you need. So you might find CQL identifier here and there in the code. Don't worry, you can still do string to CQL identifier, identifier to string, no problem. All right. So now it's your turn, and this one will be a bit longer, okay? And I will let you do it. I will do it in front of you, as usual, for people like watching. Maybe you have gone and starting this exercise before me. If you're totally developer geek like me, this is the thing I would probably do if I was watching my own workshop. I want to code. All right. Okay. Okay. And there will be 3 repos. One is using the driver, basic driver, then is using advanced feature of the driver. I will discuss right after this one. And then Spring Data, but Spring Data, it was not that easy to write the textbook. So I will do it in front of you. You do have the code, but I will have to update the README after the workshop, because at the minute you just put Spring Data instance, Spring Data Cassandra dependency in your Spring Boot app, okay, you're downloading half of internet. And this guy tried to do a lot of stuff under the hood for you, and you don't want that. So it will work, but I will explain how to do so. Okay, so CRUD repository. So it's time to define the data model. This is a table. All right. And so we will create the table in the Astra instance using this JUnit. So let's see what it looks like. I will close everything I have. And I will open JUnit number 3. So now don't worry about connectivity. It's done for you. It's there. Okay. And so what you want to do is to execute the statement. And so we will create a simple statement. So because we are working on the schema, there is no real some schema validation, right? Because it does not exist. So there is no need to prepare a statement based on schema. Yeah, okay, got it. So what I did, I can either, write down the full query string, so this one, and ask, SQL session.execute, or you can use some schema builder. So we love the builders in Cassandra driver world, where you will define create tables with partition key, with colon, dot build. And here there is a trick, and I like to think about the trick, to have all the constants from the schema in your, it's working for any database, to be honest. You should create an interface providing all the constants in your schema, all the table names, column names, and everything. And it's really easy to implement this interface wherever you need it. And then you will only have to work with, with constants. And if tomorrow you want to change the name of the column, you go there and then change the name of the column, and the full app is updated. If tomorrow you want to delete one column, you delete the attributes in the interface, and boom, you get some compilation error wherever it's used. Pretty easy for to see where you need to change the code. So this is what I do. I'm creating an interface, and each time I need it, I will simply implement my interface. Even if it's a unit test, I'm implementing my interface, and I do have all the constant I need to work with my schema. Okay, and then I execute, and if I'm happy, I do have now my table. Okay, so, let's go run as JUnit test. In the README, again, you do have the Maven test -d and the class name. Okay, so, blah, 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 table ToDo has been created. Well, don't trust the log. Let's go back to Astra. Maybe the DataStax Studio is still there for you. Okay, refresh, timeout, we know what it is. And now I will describe my key space. Okay. Oh, I do have my to-do tables. Okay, pretty nice, right? Now I do have something to work with and create stuff. Okay. Let's create some data we'll use. So let's say sample task 1. Okay. I love Cassandra. And let's see. Java is live. You can sum up the video now because you like what I say. And I execute, and oh no, this is not what I want because they will be all completed. Let's put one with false. Oh, what did I do? I just execute the same statement twice, and I provided UID each time. So guess what? Now I do have 6 records. Anyway, not a big deal. Select star from blah 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 tables. Okay, so each time you do that, think about how many records are in the table, how many nodes you will scan. It's a single node cluster, okay, and there is only 6 records in the table, I'm safe. Okay, and I do have my blah blah blah. Okay, 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, so okay. Okay, we will do that with the okay. I just create a bunch of data to have something in the UI. Okay, life is life. You need to be 2 times the same. Okay. All right. That's it. We have created the table, and I can execute the describe key space, and now I can see. Oh, there is also a SQL console. You know, for those who love. So in Astra UI, there is also the else to know how your cluster behave, how many nodes, is it okay, how many compaction, how many read writes you can do, yada yada yada. And there is SQL console. Okay, if you love SQL SH, here it is, and I can do so. I think it was ToDo user, ToDo password. And so what I would you to do is first use ToDoApp, which is my key space. Okay. Okay, and there is no need to do that. I could describe key space, the name of my key space, and oh wow, and I can do also. Well, let's do it. Select from. I don't have to use a prefix, but anyway. Yeah, so happy. Life is life. I love Cassandra twice. Okay, done. Moving forward. I told you it would be practice, practice, practice. Okay, moving forward. So now, let's go to CRUD with Cassandra driver. Oh, okay, it's starting getting interesting. Okay, after 90 minutes, not bad. Now I will do some stuff, and I will insert a new task using Java. Okay, your job. So I'm going to proper unit test. So this one is CRUD, blah blah blah. CRUD with driver, blah blah blah. Okay, this guy. So this one, okay. First time I show you that how to combine Spring and Unit 5, and so a run ref, you only need this annotation to run unit test in Eclipse, because this Eclipse is just sometimes a bit stupid. But Maven run without this annotation working. But Spring's unit is pretty neat, because providing a test configuration, you can define the bin you need. And so I need a SQL session to connect to Astra, and I need my class ToDo repository Cassandra driver implementation just to execute some create read instance operation with this class. I don't need to start the full app. I also could use some context configuration annotation, of course, providing the list of the class. But hey, I simply want to do my own bin and don't be, don't have any adherence, any dependency with existing code outside my unit test, which is a good practice, I guess, right? All right, okay, so unit SQL session and init repo. So now I can auto-wire my SQL session because it's there, and I can auto-wire my to-do list repo because it's there. But before using those two, okay, I will ask you to write the proper statement to insert this task, her task, into Astra, okay? And with that, I will reuse a pre-implemented class just to see if you did it well, and say that it's not empty. That means the find by ID return the result, okay? So just to tell you, you will need to create a simple statement, okay? And then you will need to execute the statement. Okay. And now remember, in the slide we had some simple Come on, guys. Statement builder dot new instance. Ah, it's a new. Instance. Oh Jesus. I will simply go just new simple statement and provide the query string. Now I cannot do that. I cannot do that. Can I? Okay. All right. You know what? The solution is at the bottom of the page, or just in the README. It's simple statement dot builder. Okay, I got it. But this is what I just did. Oh, I did simple statement builder dot something. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Now let's see what we do. So insert into to-do task. Okay, you got it. Up. Here it is. Insert into to-do task. Okay, and then I need values. Okay, and you can either use positional value or name value. I will simply use a positional value 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And so I will add positional value. Okay. And build. Okay, so first is UID. Okay, I've generated a random UID. Do I have a logger? Sysout? Okay. Anyway, sysout. Allez, let's. It's life. Life is life. It's a hands-on. Okay. Anyway, I will add position value 2, 3, 4. I do have 4 parameters. Okay, second is title, then is offset, completed. Okay. Okay. All right. And then I can run the test insert. So it was weird before to have this issue not finding test insert because it's there. Maybe it's a typo in the command. But anyway, I will run test insert. Cross finger that I don't have fat. Oh, I do have fat. See? It's not pre-recorded. Inserting. Man, next time I copy paste the solution. Okay, and now this guy has been created. Yes, it's out, remember. So if I go to Astra, Data Stack Studio, I can go at the bottom and maybe see, do I have a new task? I'll select from to-do task. To-do task. Looking for completion. Okay, to-do tasks. Where UID is this guy. No quote because UID is an object, not a string. And true, a task has been inserted in Astra. Yes, we should use to-do app schema. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So if I go back here, simple statement, builder, insert into, You know what? We can not only using the to-do app, but also a query builder. There is something called query builder, and you can insert into, only providing the name of the table. Okay, and just then using value, name value, name value, name value. And colon ID, of course, now I would use ToDo app. So this guy is call something. Okay, so implements ToDo app schema. And I will do the query builder. ToDo.value, la 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 la. You got the idea, okay? I'm moving forward. Because you probably already have written all that and I'm just lag behind. So now it's really time to connect finally the web UI to what we just did. If you go back to the repo, so it's ToDo list repository Cassandra implementation. So here you got the answer. So I did the same answer, but now for all the other operation, it's pre-implemented. And as you can see, I'm using the query builder. Select from, so it's import static query builder. Select from table, so I want all the column where column ID is equal to build. And I will prepare the statement at the launch of the app. And when I need, for instance, to do select from, now if I go to find by ID, I will simply use the prepared statement and bind the statement with only the parameter. And that's quite nice code, elegant, single line, meaning that you like what you do. All right. Always assert not null, okay? Every Java null pointer exception in your code is your fault, no excuse, okay? You didn't test your parameter, don't you get GNP. Yeah, that's a bit rough, but at the same time, yeah, GNP most of the time is your fault. Test your parameter anytime. Okay, moving forward. So if I go back to the exercise, catch up a little bit. Yada, tac. Injection dependencies. I will now change from in-memory to Cassandra driver. Okay, so let's go here, go to my controller, okay, find my qualifier, okay, change with the Java driver. But we still need a SQL session, right? Because for now, it was only using SQL session in the test, in application.test. So in the exercise, there is a command asking you to copy everything from application_test to application.conf, okay? And as you can see, it's the same file for me, okay? And so I'm going to go to Cassandra driver config, and I will uncomment configuration. So now when I will start my app, Spring will recognize this guy as something to load in the Spring context. I will use SQL builder.build, delegated everything in a file, go to the file, connect to Astra, and now Cassandra driver implementation do have a SQL session to work with and can do stuff. By the way, see, I also need to uncomment this line to be sure that this guy is part of the Spring context. And then I should start my app. So let's go back here. It takes a bit more time because I initiate my connection to Astra now. And if I go back to the ToDo backend client, and instead of using these, I'm using my localhost, okay? Boom, guess what? Now I do have the task in Astra. Life is life, okay, 2 time. This one was also 2 time, simple task, okay. And this guy, we just insert it with a unit test. And by clicking here, don't believe me, go back to the studio, execute select star from the table. Only, it's live, so let's see. Okay, let's close the proper tab. Where is my client? Okay. The demo is alive. Is live. No, the demo is alive. Okay, and I go back to my studio. Oh, cool. Okay, so I promised you did it. There is a sample REST API connected to Cassandra and serving web UI. And if you're using Gitpod, you didn't have installed anything. So more quickly. So there is something called an object mapper in the driver, allowing new dependency in the code. But I did that for you already. The purpose is you define some entities providing annotation and some interface. No implementation, only interface, okay? Providing queries, only, insert, save, delete, query provider like that, okay? You then define a mapper, and that's it. All the CRUD has been done for you. No code, no statement, nothing. The mapper is pretty clever and doing it for you, okay? So, yeah, maybe before the Menti, to work with the mapper, you will simply shut down, okay, this guy. I will go to the mapper, uncomment. Okay, so this repo is there, the object mapper, okay. It's so as you can see, everything related to the mapper is in dedicated package. So the entity, I open the entity first, okay. The DAO, no code, and the mapper. Just in my mapper, I can have multiple DAO, single mapper for the app, and here I do have a single DAO factory, like that. Okay, and so mapper impl is there, and I can go back to my controller, let's see, and I remove my Cassandra driver, switch to object mapper, and I should refresh, cross finger, and now you do have a repository using object mapper coded for you. No exercise on this one, simply have to map what you need. Okay, okay, I said okay, but I didn't try it. Blue, where is my UI? Okay, let's do it again. Oh yeah, and now object mapper. Okay, go back to Astra Studio. Yes, and now I do have my new lag. Okay, so it's working the same, but instead of you providing all the statements, it's done by an object mapper. Okay. So we did that. I did that in front of you. Next is Spring Data. Okay, so now is really for folks who is using Spring Boot. They're really good. The go-to when talking with database is Spring Data, because these guys do the same as object mapping, help you to map object to the database, and you don't have to provide code. It's all convention over configuration. And so you only have to have interface, and Spring Data will generate that for you. So Spring Data is there for the persistent, and then to expose, you can either use Spring MVC, and this is what I use today, because I had to stick to a proper specification. Remember, you need test to execute, integration test to execute, but with Spring Data, there is some couple more annotation to directly expose a repository as a REST endpoint. I'm not sure I like this approach. I like to validate my parameter. I like to be really cautious about the HTTP code I use. So I do use always WebMVC, but Spring Data REST is there, and I think that Spring Doc is also compatible with Spring Data REST because Spring Data REST exposes some endpoints using A2S, and that's kind of a format that Spring Doc understands. But full disclosure, I was not able to make it work. Spring Data REST, okay. But yeah, Spring MVC is there. So, okay. So with Spring Data, multiple approach. Don't define anything. You simply provide keys in application.yaml, and this guy will generate the SQL bean for you and inject the SQL bean in CRUD for you as well. Again, I don't really like this because you need to know all the keys, and even if there is some auto-completion, yeah, you're struggling, for ages before finding what you need. Whereas you can also I missed a slide. Yeah. Whereas you can also extend abstract Cassandra configuration, and then you need to override a couple of methods, and you know what you need to provide, and then you can use auto-wired, values, Spring properties configuration as usual, and you also have access to the SQL session with SQL Session Builder Customizer, and you can do what you want with SQL Session. Once you did both, you can create tasks with entities with annotation, same as Object Mapper, and do the same with select star. Okay. All right. And now let's do the CRUD repo. So I will do it in front of you again. I told you I'm not sure about the README here. Okay. I've lost my Eclipse. It's the end. Okay, desktop. This one looks Eclipse. Okay, let's do it this way. Where are you? Okay. I will close this guy. Okay, so now I'm going to the POM. I will uncomment Spring Data. Okay, where are you? No. I will uncomment Spring Data. Okay. The minute I'm uncommenting Spring Data, this guy will start to create a lot of bin for me. So I need to tell him what to do. Okay, so let's see. I don't need this Cassandra configuration anymore because I want to extend the Java. So everything is now in the package Spring Data. What a surprise, right? So first I need to change my config. I will uncomment config. And as you can see, this Spring Data Java config extend the abstract configuration. Yes. I will create my SQL session, and I will provide key space name, part of the SQL session here, to be honest. And I will import what I need, POM Shift O, POM, Command Shift O or Control Shift O in Windows. So first I have imported Spring Data, then I do have created my bin to connect to Spring Data. Okay, what's next? Task Spring Data, I will annotate my entity. Can I just do source toggle comment? Okay, this guy is up. For this guy, I will simply do that fastest. Okay, so as you can see, I provide the type and the name. Okay, name this one, orb from Spring Data. Okay, and now so the config and now the repo. Okay, so now I need to uncomment my repo. Okay, and I don't need, it was just a sample to show you how to do it, but I will extend the Cassandra repository class, and I will import one query. And with only that, now Task Spring Data repository provide all the method I need to create, read, update, delete. They are all created by Spring Data for me. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, almost there. Okay, so now I'm going to the repo. It's just uncommenting everything. So SQL session, I will inject my repo. I will use injection by constructor, and I will uncomment every single method. Yeah, so explain that in a README. Okay, is wise. Uncomment whatever you find in the code to make that work. Okay, we uncommented the config, the entity, the repo, and then the repo. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I only need to go back to the controller in resources. And now, instead of using Object Mapper, I will using Spring Data. Okay. So if I do it again, this is my controller. I'm using to-do list repository, connecting to an implementation from Spring Data. Okay. Using some kind of, I should have called that maybe DAO class really dedicated to Spring Data, but as I do have multiple implementation, I did this little wrapper. Okay, let's see. Moment of truth. Okay. So this guy is not happy. Constructor, a single bin, but 2 version 1.4, Cassandra class config, Cassandra configuration in Spring Data class config. Okay, so I do have 2 bin defined in here. Okay. Like the SQL session. Sample Spring Data. Man, they are both defined in the same class. SQL session, Cassandra session. Okay. Okay, so go here in the repo. No, the config. Okay. Configuration, abstract. Okay, abstract configuration. No, I'm sorry. I simply have my own. Okay. I simply have my own. Okay, it's just to work that out. I don't know why this guy tried to create 2. Okay, just ask me to create. Mine is primary. Okay, mine. I don't remember do that. But hey, this guy want a primary. I will give you a primary. All the more as the Cassandra session by default. Yeah, you know what? Cassandra default created all by default. Try to connect to local. So let's try to help this guy and say implements SQL session builder. What was it again? Remember the slide? SQL session builder customization. But you know what? I won't probably fix it live, which was strange because it worked. So maybe I did uncomment what I should not. Anyway, you got the ID, and I'm at the top of the hour. SQL session initializer. And this guy didn't want to find him. Anyway, yes. Yeah, not sure why he's not happy. SQL session builder customize. SQL session builder customizer. SQL session builder customizer. You know what? I will go I will go to my explicit test. Remember, I do have SQL session builder. We can do that, and it should work. But yeah, never mind. Let's move forward. You're still watching me debug, not probably the fun stuff to do. Okay, so first resources for you, the DataStax Developer YouTube channel. Okay, this one. Please subscribe if you can. Like the video if you like the content today. We are doing live every Wednesday, same time. Okay. More sample code. Okay, I do provide the slide to you. This is a sample with REST, but I do have samples with GraphQL, gRPC, Kafka Web Flux, and serverless. Those are all the links, so it will be in the slide deck, okay, in the GitHub repo. But also go to my GitHub, github.com/CLUN. You find them. Here they are. And this is a survey we will do in the end. But before that, If you like the session and want to know more about Cassandra, go to academy.datastacks.com. You find all the training to be able to pass the certification. If you do have questions, go to community.datastacks.com. It's like Stack Overflow for Cassandra. Okay. Again, I told you 30 times to subscribe to the channel. Okay, we told you you would get a free voucher to be certified. Here is the link. I think we shared the link 20 times already. But there are two certifications, Developer Associate, Administrator Associate. To pass the Developer Associate, two courses are recommended, TS201, DS220. And to have the Administrator certification, you add 210, which is all about monitoring with Cassandra. Okay. In upcoming events, so next week I told you build a REST API for Cassandra with Node and Python. And starting July the 1st, we are rebooting the workshop series with something called Cassandra Workshop Theories. 8 weeks, 8 workshops, starting from core Cassandra, data modeling, application development, advanced application development, testing, deploying, monitoring, and administrating. So each week, 2 hours workshop with me and DataStax Advocate crew. Then exercise to do on your own at home. And in the end, you have all the knowledge required to pass the certification with us. And we will give some swag to anyone that dare attend the full week with us. It's a full courses, and I hope we will see you there. So to register there for now, simply go to eventbrite.com, search for DataStax. We will share the link in the next days. I mean, before next week, we will have all the link and all the enrollments.